Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, warshippers of all ages, welcome back to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor. Today, guys, we're bringing you a bit of an older battle report. As you look at this shipping, you're probably going, what in the hell is a Frank Friday? It's a reasonable question. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the test version of Tier 9 American Premium Destroyer USS Johnston. This is back when Johnston was still just a test boat. And of course, we're allowed, as community contributors, we are allowed to play the ship, but we are not allowed to play the ship on stream or release content about it before Wargaming lifts the NDA. And as a Fletcher enjoyer, a Fletcher fanatic, let's be honest, I was very curious to see what Johnston was capable of. Now, you have to understand I'm not showing you this replay because Johnston is amazing. I have an okay game. I'm showing you this replay because I think it continues to underscore the power of a destroyer who understands spotting mechanics in World of Warships and a team that actively takes advantage of the information being provided. I'm going to pause this real quick so we can talk about this. So, Johnston, just as a quick refresher, Johnston's gimmicks are she gets HE and SAP shells, and she gets them on a slightly longer reload than a typical Fletcher, and then she marries that to the F key you see there at the bottom of the screen, the funny button that allows you to burst fire. Now, this is probably only my maybe second game in Johnston as I was kind of feeling my way through the ship and testing, and I'll be honest, I don't use the burst fire mode, I don't think at all. I think in this era, I'm still convinced that it's garbage without ever having tried it, so, you know, that's on me. But at the same time, I also think I had this thing set up as a torpedo build, so I don't get into a lot of gunfights, at least not intentionally. I play this game like a very traditional Fletcher. So, truth be told, the game you're about to see could be played in almost any Tier 9 destroyer, let's say, with a sub-6 kilometer detection. I'm not showing you this game to highlight Johnston. I'm showing you this game because if you are trying to learn destroyer, if you play World of Warships, I really want you to understand what to do. If you play destroyer, I want you to learn how to spot, right? I want you to see the value of simply providing spotting information for your own team. Not always feeling like you have to run around with your hair on fire, firing your guns. If you're not a destroyer player and you're watching this video, I want you to understand the value of having a good spotting destroyer on your team, what that does for you, and what you can be doing with the information that you're being provided back, okay? All right, here we go. Starting off in the southwest corner of everybody's favorite map, this is, of course, Two Brothers. Enemy Haberosk, very, very proud of himself, quite deep into the A-cap here. In fact, I'm having to back off to avoid getting spotted, and, well, I don't avoid it. But I do back off and not take any damage. Team here, again, doing brilliant work. I'm sitting here just keeping this Haberovsk lit while, gosh, I think there's at least 4 different ships shooting at him. And he's finally starting to figure out that that is a really, really bad idea. But as he runs north, what do? I turn and I give chase. Even though he's secured his guns, I want to continue to provide spotting information for my team. I want them to keep shooting this guy. I've only got about 5,000 spotting damage so far, pretty much all of it on that Haberovsk, but I'm determined that if my team is going to continue shooting this guy, I'm going to keep giving them opportunities. And there comes the Riga radar. You see the Riga back there, about 11 and change, and I'm inside his 12-kilometer bubble. But apparently, he didn't have it up very long, so there we go. So the Riga takes some punishment, and the Haberovsk has just been, I'd say, thoroughly abused, down to already, what, a quarter of his HP? We're not even 3 minutes into this game, and he is looking pretty rough over there. So my team continuing to play well off the cap, let's say, while I am continuing to play just along the edge of it, again, simply trying to provide spotting information that can be utilized. Now, this cruiser over here on the 4 line is the Napoli. That's a pretty bold position, right? He's trying to play shenanigans and games with his smoke, thinking that he can get this for free. The struggle he's going to run into is, again, I exist here, and I can see through his smoke to a point. As he secures his guns, that all falls apart. But look at that. 4.5 minutes gone, 3.5 minutes gone. I have 65,000 spotting damage. That feels really good if you're a destroyer. Now, this is not, I mean, a submarine would have more spotting damage. Submarines get insane bonuses on spotting damage, but I'll take what I can get. We did land one of our Luck Chuck Torps way up there in the top left corner of the map. And now we're finally going to get into our first gunfight here as this opposing black wanders in. This guy is going to be a real thorn in my side for a while. This is one of the first times I'm actually getting to test Johnston's guns. And it turns out that SAP, that's not too shabby. Now, yes, I am radared here, so the smoke feels a little irrelevant, but the trick is that the Habarovsk is back there, and once the radar dies, I will actually be able to break contact a little quicker this way. So I'm going to take a little bit of punishment here. That was... Getting into a gunfight with a black with his smoke radar trick is probably not a good use of my time. Certainly not this early. So perhaps a bit of an error on my part. But I did chunk that guy down. He still took 8,000 or 9,000 points of damage for his trouble. Plus, hey, you know, I kicked in my adrenaline rush. Life is good. It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine here now. Now, the Hayate is working the cap. He's lit. I think he's just regularly spotted on the surface. The black has a spotting advantage against him of a few hundred meters. The Habarovsk has healed and is pushed all the way over to the 1 line. And the Hayate and I are like, all right, let's just get this cap done. Let's just not sit here. Let's just make this happen. Now, a lot of interesting things are happening. Let's talk for a minute about the overall strategic situation. If you probably didn't notice, I didn't at the time, but I've certainly noticed since, when the game first opened, the majority of my team that spawned on my side of the map all went left. They all came to this flank, which means that the other side of the map, the eastern half, is essentially empty. You can see there's at least 4 enemy ships and only 2 of ours. And then we have this Wisconsin, who has driven directly up the channel because, you know, 2 brothers, and is now threatening their quote-unquote home cap back at A. So despite a ship tie at the moment, we actually have a bit of a better strategic situation in terms of the fact that we are slowly converting 2 of these cap circles. Soon we will leave the enemy with only 1. And there we go up on ships. The Venezia dunks on the Haba. My Luck Chuck Torps on the black hit home, and now life starts to feel pretty good right about now. You're like, okay, this game's shaping up nicely. I got a big chunk of spotting damage. All right. Now, team on this flank is going to make good use of the information that I'm going to provide, because I realize with the Habarovsk's dead, the Habarovsk is dead, the Riga's still back there. I do have to be frosty for his radar, but it's only, 25 seconds. I can probably handle that if I play smart. There's not a ton of things to threaten me from just playing up here and continuing to spot for the whole bloody team. So we're going to keep pushing these guys, kind of hurting them. You have to think, in my head right now, I'm playing sheepdog, right? I am herding the enemy team sort of kind of back where I want them to go. And I'm doing that by just playing out here in front of my team and spotting for them and providing all the information about the position of the enemy ships that they could ever want so they can go get whatever shots that they want. And you can see there they've been dunking on the Vermont. You can see the Riga is running. The Hindenburg is barely inside more torpedo range. I really want torpedoes on this Pommern, but it's not going to happen because he's just too quick and I'm just too far away. I am going to line up for salvo on the Vermont, just because, yeah, why not? And I think I end up splitting this salvo. I think the Vermont gets a rack and the Hindenburg gets a rack, if memory serves. But I'm playing throttle games. Knowing that there's no destroyer over here gives me the flexibility to be very aggressive when I'm spotting. This is one of the things that if you don't play destroyer, I want you to take away. When you shoot at opposing destroyers early in a game in support of friendly destroyers, this is the kind of thing that you're setting up for them. You're giving them the possibility, there's never a guarantee, you never know what's going to happen, but you're giving them the possibility, you're setting them up for success, let's say, because you're removing the opposing destroyers that they might bump into while they're out here trying to spot for you. This kind of open field, knowing it's an open field, gives me just a nice warm fuzzy, it's like a warm blanket. I can just wrap myself up in it and know that I am in great shape out here. I am very, very highly unlikely to stumble across something that is going to be a problem for me. Hayate is moving up on my starboard side. He and I are beginning to threaten the A cap again. The Wisconsin is reversed down the channel, being charged by an enemy Pommern. I think we can all suspect how that's going to go. Whiskey's going to be lucky if he trades in that situation, because the Pommern is 100% going to bring in his little uppercut punch of torpedoes and try to dunk on that guy. 8.5 minutes gone, a cool 136,000 spotting damage. Big kudos to this the St. Vincent, the Iowa, the Venezia, and the Salem playing behind me, by the way, for knowing what to do with all the spotting info I'm providing. Now, I want to explain this reaction. I had started to duck into the cap, and then I looked over and saw I was inside the radar range of the Riga. He's about 11.3 away or something like this right now. And I was like, that's probably going to draw a radar. I'm just going to back off so that I'm already running the other way when the radar comes up. Now, I forget if he radars me or not, but the bottom line was, okay, he's 10 and change. Either way, I was like, I don't want to deal with this. Now that I know he's there, if he knows for sure I'm in the cap, that's one thing. If he only suspects I'm in the cap, that's another. Now, it's interesting to me that at no point in this evolution do we get a radar. That tells me he might have burned one earlier when he thought he might catch me a little closer than I actually was. My torpedoes are back. Now that we can see the Riga is... there's the radar. Had to be coming sooner or later. So I'd come back in to help the Hayate, who literally sails out of the cap right there. Yay. And now that I'm stuck under this Riga radar for a spell, we're going to cut the throttle, go bow, and we're going to get narrow. I'm trying to avoid as many incoming shells as I possibly can, regardless of where they're coming from. You see, the Satsuma there took a shot. The Riga took a shot. I got a little lucky there with the dispersion. The Riga gets a reset, I think, but he doesn't actually land damage. He kind of slow-played that radar a bit, and it definitely threw me. I was expecting it much sooner than I got it. All right, now we're going to, again, split the torpedo fire. We're going for a rack at the Satsuma, who seems fairly stationary back there. Truth be told, that was a terrible rack. I should never have fired those torpedoes in that direction, but I did. And then taking a rack going up north, looking for either the Hindenburg or the Vermont, who have just been continuing to run east away from my team. Hayate lands a couple of big old Japanese torpedoes on the Vermont. That's starting to feel really good. Somehow this Wisconsin has won his duel with the Pommern. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm not going to complain. I'm going to smile and say thank you, because he's moved back up the channel, is in the A cap with us now, as we continue to press our advantage over 200, coming up on about 250 points. Now, I'm not sure why the Hayate is smoking here. I'm realizing it's because he wants to get gunshots downrange on the Vermont. It took me a minute to realize that. And then the torpedo salvo is starting to look really good. I'm like, ooh, I think I'm going to get one on this Hindi. That's going to feel nice. But, of course, as I make the loop and turn around, I realize the Hayate can't see the Vermont. I need to get up here and spot him. So I am continuing to push to aggressively look for this Vermont now for the Hayate. Oh, this is going to be good. Here they go, ladies and gentlemen. Here they go. Oh. Won't, 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 won't. All skill, no luck on the part of the Hindenburg. Okay, A cap secure. Wisconsin now threatening B, tangling with, C over there, tangling with the Satsuma. Hindenburg still kind of floating around the top of the map. We have a nearly 300-point lead. Life feels pretty good. I have a cool 180,000 spotting damage and a surface destroyer. Yeah, we aren't done yet, guys. When I saw the final spotting number at the end of the game, I was absolutely just blown away. I was like, how does that happen? It's one of these things. It's one of the things that frustrates me about the Combat Scout medal, right, or the achievement, right? It requires you to do damage to a bunch of different ships, but it's like, but what if I just am really good at providing spotting information for my team? I don't get a medal for that, according to Wargaming. No, you don't. Whiskey's playing a very safe game, keeping himself shielded from the Satsuma, dunking on the Conqueror down there. I'm going to provide him a little bit of smoke so he can take a breather. Smoke through the gap here as we dive the B cap, excuse me, again, the C cap, as that Satsuma's not going to have any way to spot me. My torpedoes are just a little too slow to catch him over there where I would prefer. I do have a rack available going to kind of wait and see. Maybe I can throw these downrange and get lucky. Seems unlikely given his board position, however. We are up a ship. Mostly right now I'm concerned with picking up the cap. We did sneak a torpedo in on the Hindenburg. That feels pretty good. A little irritated that guy's still alive. Wait a minute. Who's capping B? What is this shenanigans? Has to be the Harugumo. Yep, you can see the Des Moines now down there along the G line. So that means the Harugumo must have cut back up the channel and is trying to back cap A behind us. That's so rude. I did not authorize this, ladies and gentlemen. Well, if they're not going to do it, I guess I'm not going to do it. I guess nobody's going to do it. I guess at this point, my thought process is... Forgive me, this game is several months old by now. My thought process is probably, look, we're taking up a cap, 2 caps. If they turn over, they'll be taking up 2 caps. We've still got a ship lead. I can live with it. That's probably the thought I'm having. 205,000 spotting damage. I love seeing numbers like this. I just wish the rewards for it were more tangible. Although, again, the rewards for this game at the end are not that bad. You'll see in a little while. 5:40 on the timer. Still plenty of time for the enemy team to try to find a way back into this game, or for us to find a way to throw it, which, you know, can happen. There's the Harugumo, point blank with the St. Vincent on the western edge of the A cap, as I'm going to double back and try to either finish off this Hindenburg, who, well, that's not going to happen. He's got 15,000 HP. But I'm at least going to go back, I think, and try to fight the Harugumo and pick up that A cap again. We're going to need those points. Hindenburg getting dunked there by the Wisconsin. That feels pretty amazing. We love everything that just happened there as the Iowa burns down back along the back of the map. So our lead has narrowed now just barely 100 points. As again, I'm helping keep this Hindenburg lit. Come on, Wisconsin, I need you to dunk this guy. Shells are going out. Did he land them? He did not. Feels bad. Now, the good thing for me, ordinarily, I would, under no circumstances, would I accept a gun engagement with the Harugumo. The only reason this is going to work is because this guy is basically dead already, and the St. Vincent is going to clean him up before my shells even arrive. So that's going to free us up to recapture A, get our ship lead back. Wisconsin reorienting, still trying to get this Hindenburg off the board, still struggling with it. He's missed all of two consecutive salvos. The Satsuma has turned back in and is trying to push the C cap. Wisconsin showing him probably a little too good of a shot there. Whiskey, I'm sure, wants to back up. Finally, another Wisconsin salvo going out downrange. Still not quite able to kill that Hindenburg. Man, I struggle with Hindenburg some days, but then I see a game like this, and you're just like, oh yeah, she's still a really good boat, isn't she? Satsuma blows his salvo. Hindenburg doesn't blow his. And our lead holds right now at about 170 as we're going to flip the A cap. Now, they don't have any more board control pieces, right? With the death of the Harugumo, they're going to struggle to maintain any kind of board control because we still have me and this Hayate around. Still and all, the Des Moines is obviously in good enough shape to work on the A cap, and so that's where he is. It also tells me where I don't want to be, because under no circumstances do I want to go deal with a Des Moines back at, excuse me, I keep getting the cap names wrong, back at B. So what are we going to do? It's time, ladies and gentlemen. Hey diddle diddle, right down the middle. Let's go. We know the Satsuma is in C. We know the Hindenburg is on the extreme corner of the map. We know the Des Moines is in A. Excuse me, in B. I keep getting all these cap names wrong. That just leaves the Conqueror, and we can see him now well south of the D cap, the Delta cap. So it's like, I'm sorry, that's the C cap down there. So it's like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. I should just caveat this by saying I'm struggling to read some of these cap names because the window is very, very small on the computer I'm recording this on right now. So I apologize. Sorry for all the cap name confusion. Satsuma goes out. Hindenburg clings to life. Wisconsin playing an amazing game. Still, he's barely alive. I'm betting he doesn't want to trade any more rounds with that Hindenburg. Hindenburg might just burn him to death. But we're getting close to the end here. 930 points. The Des Moines and the Venezia engagement over on the 1-2-3 line, not terribly relevant to me. I'm really out here looking to see where this Conqueror is. I might have time for some luck shuck torpedoes. Probably not, but maybe. We'll go have a peek. Got to find him first. But instead, we're going to be the absolute ultimate jerk. We're going to step on the sea cap and deny them points even here at the very end as we tick up towards victory. There's the Conqueror. I knew he's back there somewhere. I think the Venezia actually picked him up right there. Ooh, time extension as we hit 994, ladies and gentlemen. So the Des Moines then, making the smart play, realizing that he needs to get up here into this cap circle, he's going to run north. I'm actually spotting him for the St. Vincent right now. I don't realize that. This doesn't dawn on me. And I'm like, well, St. Vincent needs to shoot that guy. We know he's headed for the cap circle. Let's go pick him up again. So we're gonna go into harm's way, which is something that Johnston loves. Wisconsin does finally go down to the Hindenburg. Back to 3 ships apiece. Enemy team not out of this quite yet. Still trying to claw their way back in. Hindenburg now coming down the 10 line on barely any HP, but at the same time, we are ticking up 3 caps. They're not ticking up any. Like this, we should still be able to pull this off. Now, I led these torpedoes before and behind the island, thinking that the Des Moines might try to stop and reverse or something silly. As it is, he's still going to take 1, which is going to be a bit of a help to the friendly St. Vincent. I say a bit of a help, not an amazing amount of help. And I'm like, well, look, we're at 980. Let's get in a gunfight with this Des Moines. If he wants to turn and fire down here, he can do that. At a minimum, I'm going to get cap resets. I'm not going to let him finish this cap. And there we go at the end. We pick up a few base defense ribbons as we climb over towards a win. Now, again, I'm showing you this game not because this is some kind of amazing damage total. It most certainly isn't. I mean, look at this. 87,000 pedestrian. However, I have 4-part caps, a full cap, and in a minute, check out the spotting damage. You probably weren't looking at the final number. I wasn't. I was shocked when I got to this final screen, right? We do have a nice solid base XP result here. Nearly 3,000 base XP. Can't complain about that. Really, really good game for everybody, though, right? Look at that. Wisconsin crushed it. 2,400 base. Hayate having a great game. Venezia, the St. Vincent. All of us who just fought our ships well and stayed in at the end of the game at the top of the leaderboard. But 2959 XP on 87,000 damage is saying something because it's married to 240,000 spotting damage. This, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, is the value of a good destroyer who understands when to fire his guns, when not to, how to manage his detection radius. They are invaluable. I'm tooting my own horn a little bit here, and I'm trying to point out when you find a destroyer player like this in your games or in your clans or in your communities, man, make friends with them. Make friends with them. They are such a valuable asset. Such a valuable asset. But I'm pretty proud of this result. It's like I said, we're not breaking any damage records, but between the XP, all the caps, and this massive chunk of spotting damage, I think it simply highlights the kind of impact that a destroyer can have on a game without necessarily having to, as I said earlier, run around and play with your guns always firing and, with your hair on fire. You don't have to be that Haberosk, constantly running 50 knots, firing your guns forever to have a good XP result in a destroyer. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Wash your hands, be safe, and I'll catch you next time.